I want you to think about the last time you walked into a garden center and grabbed one of those big bags of potting mix or garden soil off the shelf. You probably didn't even think twice about it. You just threw it in the cart, paid $8, $10, maybe $15 a bag, hauled it home, dumped it in your bed, and figured that was just the cost of gardening. That's just what you do. I did the same thing for years. And then one day, I stood at my kitchen counter, scraping vegetable peels into the trash, tossing coffee grounds, eggshells, wilted lettuce, and it hit me. I was throwing away soil, literally throwing it in a bag and sending it to the landfill, and then driving to a store to buy the same thing back in a plastic bag with a logo on it. That was the last time I bought bagged soil, and I haven't bought a single bag since. What I'm going to show you today is exactly how I turn kitchen scraps and yard waste, stuff most people throw away every single day, into the richest, most alive growing medium you've ever put your hands into. No special equipment, no expensive inputs, no complicated system. Just you, your kitchen, your yard, and a little bit of patience. Let's get into it. Here's something the garden industry does not want you to think about too hard. That bag of garden soil or premium potting mix sitting on the shelf, do you know what's actually in it? Mostly peat moss, maybe some perlite, some composted wood filler, a tiny hit of starter fertilizer that burns off in about 3 weeks. And then you're left with a medium that has almost no living biology in it whatsoever. Real soil isn't a product. Real soil is an ecosystem. It's fungi, it's bacteria, it's protozoa, nematodes, earthworms, and 1,000 other organisms working together to feed your plants, fight disease, and hold moisture. You cannot put that in a plastic bag, seal it, ship it across the country, and have it arrive alive. It's dead by the time it gets to you. So, when you're buying bagged soil, you're not buying soil. You're buying a growing medium that your plants can physically sit in while you pour synthetic fertilizer on them to keep them alive. That's the whole business model. Sell you dead dirt and then sell you the chemicals to compensate for the fact that it's dead. What we're building at home is completely different. We're building something alive. Something that feeds itself, rebuilds itself, and gets better every single season instead of worse. And we're building it from things you already have. Let me walk you through what I collect in a normal week in my kitchen, because most people have no idea how much raw soil building material they're generating every single day. Vegetable scraps, onion skins, carrot tops, pepper cores, potato peels, the outer leaves of cabbage, corn cobs, bean ends, all of it. This is nitrogen-rich organic matter, and it breaks down fast. This is gold. Coffee grounds. If you drink coffee every morning, you are sitting on one of the best compost activators available. Coffee grounds are slightly acidic, high in nitrogen, and earthworms absolutely love them. I save every single ground. Eggshells. These break down slower, but they add calcium to your soil, which is critical for preventing blossom end rot in tomatoes and peppers. I crush mine before I add them to speed things up. Fruit scraps, apple cores, banana peels, citrus rinds, yes, even citrus, despite what you may have heard. In a well-managed compost, citrus breaks down fine and the oils that people worry about dissipate quickly. Then, outside in the yard, I'm collecting grass clippings every time I mow. Fallen leaves in autumn, I save every single one, and I'll explain why in a minute. Pulled weeds that haven't gone to seed. Old straw from my chicken coop. Small pruned branches that I chip or just break up with my hands. All of this is free. All of this is yours already. You're just redirecting it instead of sending it to the landfill. Now, I'm not going to overcomplicate this. There are entire books written about composting, and if you want to go deep on the science, you can. But I've been doing this for years, and the system I'm going to describe works consistently, it works fast, and it requires almost no effort once you set it up. You need 2 things to make great compost: carbon and nitrogen. That's it. Everything else is just details. Carbon materials are your browns, dry leaves, cardboard, straw, wood chips, paper. These are bulky, slow burning, and they give the pile structure. They feed the fungi. Nitrogen materials are your greens, fresh grass clippings, kitchen scraps, fresh pulled weeds, coffee grounds. These are moist, dense, and they generate heat. They feed the bacteria. The basic ratio you want is roughly 3 parts brown to 1 part green by volume. You don't need to measure, you just need more brown than green and you'll be fine. Here's my setup. I have 3 bins. Nothing fancy, just 3 simple wooden frames made from pallets, sitting side by side. Bin 1 is where I add fresh material. Bin 2 is where I move it after it's partially broken down. Bin 3 is finished compost that's ready to use. Every time I add kitchen scraps, and I collect them in a small container on my counter and bring them out every 2 or 3 days, I cover them with a layer of dry leaves or straw, browns on top of greens, every single time. This keeps the pile from smelling, keeps flies away, and maintains that carbon-nitrogen balance without me having to think about it. Every week or 2 I turn the pile. I take my pitchfork and I flip everything from the outside to the inside. This brings oxygen into the pile, which feeds the aerobic bacteria that do most of the fast breakdown work. If your pile smells bad, it's either too wet or too nitrogen heavy or both. Add more browns and turn it. Problem solved. In summer, with a hot pile, I can go from fresh scraps to finished compost in 6 to 8 weeks. In cooler weather, it slows down, but it never stops entirely. The pile is always working. I want to spend a minute on leaves because I think this is the most underused free resource in most neighborhoods, and it drives me crazy when I see people bagging them up for the trash. Dry autumn leaves are one of the single best soil amendments on the planet. They are loaded with carbon, they contain trace minerals the tree pulled up from deep in the soil, and when they decompose they create a material called leaf mold that has an incredible ability to hold moisture. Up to 500 times its own weight in water. I collect every leaf from my yard. I collect leaves from my neighbors' yards when they put them out in bags. I have collected leaves off the street before, and I am not ashamed of that at all. Free organic matter is free organic matter. I use leaves in 3 ways. First, as the brown layer in my compost pile. Second, as mulch directly on my garden beds. A thick 4 to 6 inch layer of shredded leaves on top of a bed suppresses weeds, holds moisture, and slowly feeds the soil as it breaks down. Third, I make pure leaf mold by just piling leaves in a wire cage and letting them sit for a year or 2. What comes out of that pile is a dark, crumbly, sweet-smelling material that I mix directly into my planting mix. If you have trees near you, and almost everyone does, you have access to unlimited free soil amendment every single fall. Start collecting now and store them in bags or a wire bin. You'll thank yourself next spring. Finished compost is the foundation, but I don't use it straight. I blend it into a mix that I use for raised beds, containers, and transplanting. Here is my basic recipe, and I've dialed this in over several seasons of trial and error. 1 part finished compost, 1 part garden soil from an existing bed that's already alive and biologically active, 1 part aged leaf mold or shredded leaves that are partially broken down. And if I'm filling containers or doing transplants, I add a small amount of wood ash, maybe 1 handful per wheelbarrow, for potassium and to adjust pH slightly if my compost has been running acidic. That's it. No perlite, no peat moss, no synthetic starter fertilizer, just organic material in different stages of breakdown, all of it alive, all of it local, all of it free. The reason this works so much better than bagged mix is the biology. When you take finished compost from a pile that's been cooking in your yard and mix it with living soil from a bed that already has earthworms and fungal networks in it, you are inoculating your whole mix with a community of organisms that knows your local conditions. They're adapted to your climate, your water, your specific ecosystem. That is something no factory-sealed bag can give you. I've done direct comparisons. Same seed variety, same bed size, same watering schedule. One side filled with a premium bagged mix, the other side with my homemade blend. My homemade blend outperformed the bagged soil every time. Faster germination, stronger seedlings, better yields, every time. Let me save you from the mistakes I made when I started. Mistake 1. Not enough browns. If your pile smells like ammonia or rotting garbage, you have too much nitrogen and not enough carbon. Cover it with a thick layer of dry leaves or straw and turn it. The smell will be gone within a day. Mistake 2. Too dry. Compost needs moisture to break down. Your pile should feel like a wrung-out sponge, moist but not dripping. If it's dusty and nothing is breaking down, water it as you turn it. Mistake 3. Adding the wrong things. I keep it simple. No meat, no dairy, no cooked food with oils or sauces, no pet waste from dogs or cats. Stick to raw plant material from the kitchen and yard waste, and you will not have pest problems or smell problems. Mistake 4. Pile too small. A pile needs to be at least 3 feet wide and 3 feet tall to generate the heat needed for fast breakdown and to kill weed seeds. A pile that's too small just sits there and decomposes slowly without ever heating up. Bigger is better. Mistake 5. Giving up in winter. Cold slows things down, but it doesn't stop the process. Keep adding to your pile through winter. By the time spring comes, it'll be full of material that's ready to start cooking again the moment temperatures rise. Here's where I want to leave you. Every kitchen scrap you throw in the trash is a small surrender. It's you sending fertility off your property, sending it away, and then walking into a store a few months later to buy it back in a plastic bag made in a factory somewhere. That cycle makes sense for the companies selling those bags. It makes 0 sense for you. What I've shown you today is not complicated. It is not a new technology. People have been doing exactly this, feeding their kitchen waste back to their soil, for as long as humans have been growing food. We're the first few generations in history to have forgotten it and to have replaced it with a purchasing habit. And that habit costs you money every single year for something you are already producing for free. Start small if you need to. A single bin in a corner of your yard, a counter container for scraps, a pile of leaves you raked up instead of bagged. That's all it takes to begin. Within one growing season, you will have your hands in material you made yourself, material that is alive and rich and costs you nothing, and you will never look at a bag of soil on a store shelf the same way again. This is low input living, and if this video helped you, share it with someone who's still buying bagged soil because they need to see this. I'll see you in the next one.